Yeah, I got the plan, I got the fam, I got the keys, I get the work. I am the man, you know what I'm saying, so leave it to me, cause I get it first. Yeah, whew, I've been going all day, man. Same plan, can't change that. Till I'm right around, whole squad sitting back, chilling in the Maybach. Yeah, only as deep as your roots go. I don't do corny like fructose. If you got the drama, that's word to my mama, I'll cover you up like a toast. I was last in my past, now you see I'm the one. They say work, never work, if you work and it's fun. We on the winning team, on top where you find us. We can do anything, non-stop till our time's up. We on the winning team, on top where you find us. We can do anything, non-stop till our time's up. We can do, ayy, we coming up from the dirt, ayy. They trying to get us to fall, ayy. I don't even gotta flex now, boy, it's only win by default, ayy. Taking off with the ring, ain't nothing left, man. We the kings, ran with the team, ran with the dream, ran with the one fan in the seats, ayy. I pay my dues, check the receipt, looking at you, you already peaked, way, way, way back then. You can't follow with my tracks, man. I was last in my past, now you see I'm the one. They say work, never work, if you work and it's fun. We on the winning team, on top where you find us. We can do anything, non-stop till our time's up. We on the winning team, on top where you find us. We can do anything, non-stop till our time's up. We on the winning team, on top where you find us. We can do anything, non-stop till our time's up. We on the winning team, on top where you find us. We can do anything, non-stop till our time's up.
everybody, and welcome once again to OSCA, the OSCA series. We're here for race number 2 here at Miami Speedway, Miami Homestead Speedway. And last week, again, we were at the high banks of Daytona. This week, traveling south of Florida and going to the this league is all about fun 150. And I'm your host, Michael Goodman, and along with me is Kenneth Bueno. And Kenneth, this is your home track. How's it feel to be home?
Well, it certainly feels good, Michael. I mean, staying in Florida, that's kind of the stigma. I think the first 2 races that we're seeing here in this OSCA Truck Series season. And obviously, last week, so much excitement over the high banks of the World Center of Racing. And tonight, we get to kind of switch it up. More of the 1.5-mile-style racing, however, still in some of the hotter climates that we see this entire season. So here at Homestead, my hometown, my favorite track, it's going to be a lot of fun when we kick things off.
Because it's your home track, but you talk to a lot of people on iRacing and even people that watch a lot of the races at Homestead-Miami Speedway. This is generally one of the more fan favorite tracks as you do look at the upcoming schedule for the OSCA series. But I think one reason why I think people like Homestead-Miami Speedway is because there's so many groove options to go out the corner, so you could see, just like we did at Daytona last week, 2 wide, 3 wide racing going through these corners.
Yeah, and really Homestead has provided a lot of the excitement over the years. Me being a little bit sad that it's not necessarily the championship finale in NASCAR anymore, but still providing a lot of fun. I mean, multi-grooves, you talk about that when you go to places like Homestead-Miami Speedway, where the grooves seem to kind of widen the track out. And a lot of drivers use that to their advantage. They're able to kind of ride against the wall or all the way to the white line. They can still get the advantage either way. Tonight, though, I think it's definitely going to be about staying conservative and trying to find your grooves in these wide corners. That's really going to be the key to take the checkered flag here tonight.
Last week the importance was staying in the draft, trying to maneuver throughout the draft, and the draft will be a big part of the race here tonight. But I think one thing these guys are going to have to look for, just like you said, Kenneth, you got to be conservative, saving those tires. We're having 2 short stints. I believe Heat 1 is 33 laps. Heat 2 is 33 laps. As we look at the track map, going down south to Homestead, Florida, the track is, again, 1.5 miles in length. The banking is 21 to 22 degrees with the progressive banking. And Kenneth, it opened in 1995, but this track's seen a couple makeovers in its day.
Yeah, this track has seen a lot. I mean, at one point, this was a aftermath ground of Hurricane Andrew back in 1995, or 1992 rather. Then 1995, Ralph Sanchez and the gang decided to grow up, make Homestead-Miami Speedway, but it did not always look like this, Michael. It looked like Indianapolis, a very flat, rectangle-shaped track for the most part, but then they decided it was a little too dangerous, so they went over for this kind of oval configuration that you see, a pure oval, 2 straights with the corners in between. And then just recently they decided to make the banking over on the racetrack, so now we have 18 to 20 degrees of banking, or at least showing 21 to 22 degrees of progressive banking all the way to the outside wall. Very historic track, not necessarily an antique track per se, but although it's open not too long ago, it's brought a lot of fun, and it's going to be an interesting venue when we go over the rest of this season.
It's crazy to think it's not an antique track yet, but I remember when they added the progressive bankings into the corners, and that was all the way back in 2003. So that's getting close to 20 years ago. So the track has seen some history, and I know, as a race fan from watching these races before, I believe the bankings were around 6 degrees before they went to the progressive bankings. Wasn't my favorite track to watch, but ever since in 2003 when they went to this progressive banking, I started falling in love with this track. And again, like you said, it's a fan favorite, and it's one to watch out for. And I think we're going to see some good racing here tonight.
It's definitely going to be a lot of fun. You're looking right now at the top of your screen, about 2 minutes and 52 seconds until we get to the end of qualifying. And then by that time, we're going to get into this grid. But Michael, one thing I'm interested about is going to be this entire format. And we looked at it at Daytona, and we probably saw it more, at least in a preview, more than anything else. I mean, 34 laps to split each little duet, or I'd say duel, maybe you can call it, where there's about 34 laps in the first stint, and then you go for a 5-minute break in between, and then you have some sort of an invert between the field. We saw it at a full field invert at Daytona last week, but tonight it'll only be 9 drivers. So I'm curious to see now, because drivers who may finish kind of outside of the top 9, they will be able to stay in their positions, but let's say if you take the checkered flag in that first duel, you have to work yourself up from the top 10. So maybe it won't be too detrimental, much like if you won the first duel over at Daytona, you had to start all the way at the rear in P20. That's going to be a lot of fun to watch here tonight.
Yeah, but I think track position is going to be a lot more important here tonight. So, if you do win the first heat, what you want to do, you get points for winning the first stint or the first heat race. So you want to do that, but also if you start ninth, it's gonna be probably a little bit tougher to get back all the way from ninth spot to first, as last week, even coming from 20th to first in there, because passing's a little bit more, obviously with the draft a little easier to do. But I think what this also adds, having that top 9 invert in the heat number 1, I think you could see a good battle for that transfer spot. I think that could be really fun. If you're in 10th spot and that 9th place guy is right ahead of you, I think we could see some very exciting racing. And heck, you never know. We've seen this in like All-Star Series races in the Cup Series, where you might be running 8th and you're like, I might be rolling out of the throttle a little bit earlier. I want to see if the guy in 9th will pass me so I can start up front. So there could be a little bit of strategy here as well, because I think it'll be playing out a big part of what happens from heat number 1 to heat number 2.
And also, Michael, we're going to be talking about tire strategy a whole lot more here tonight. I mean, we're under the sun, not under the lights like you'd probably see in the sunset over in real-life NASCAR competition, but under the daytime here at Homestead, and this track does eat up the tires, especially when you're using those grooves, because you can go all the way to the bottom, use the progressive banking all the way to the top, and when you're going off the corners, it's a lot wider than a lot of the other tracks, so maybe some drivers might use that advantage to use those wide corners, kind of smoothing themselves out. However, if you put it the wrong way, the tires could easily start to shred, and then we're going to see a lot of drivers maybe head down pit road or try to conserve their tires the best they can over the long run, and that's really going to show who's the cream of the crop here in this race.
It's going to be very interesting. You want to balance that driving into the corner deep and being fast, staying up front, but also, again, you want to save those tires because it will eat them up pretty quick. And one other thing, too, that we haven't really talked about is as they're gridding, and we'll go through lineup here in just a second, the caution clock. They have the 10-minute caution clock that's going to be in effect all season long. So that's the one thing to take a look out for. And maybe even be able to strategize at that point too, to know when you can take tires. So we'll look forward to see how that plays out tonight. But as they're gridding up here, we can see how they all stacked up after qualifying.
So it'll be River Hayes, at least. Oh, go ahead.
Yep. Oh no. Oh yeah. On the front row. I'm sorry. River Hayes will be starting in the pole position, and outside of him will be Matthew Weeks.
We'll look to third spot in row number 2. Damian Leininger will be starting here tonight from third in the 12 machine, with Gabriel Edwards to his outside, starting here from fourth.
And in row number 3, he's back. Levi Zielinski. He's been off iRacing for a while. He'll be starting in the 5th spot, and alongside of him will be Kevin White Jr. in the number 38 Toyota.
Lining up row number 4 will be the most consistent driver last week, Josh Duke in the 32-year points leader going into tonight. He will be starting from the 7th spot, with Vincent Isabella returning into competition. He'll be starting on the outside of row number 4.
Row number 5, the number 30 truck of Joshua Sobel. And starting alongside him, our heat number 1 winner last week, Gerald Campbell.
Tate Lytle in the 56 will roll off from the 11th spot, and right next to him, a driver making his first start in this series as well, the 09 of Riley Marabella will roll off tonight at Homestead from the 12th spot.
And row number 7 in the number 79 truck is Barrett Palamas, and starting alongside him is the 69 truck of Blake Barney.
Back to row number 8, you'll find Chris W. Jordan in the number 4 machine in the 15th spot, with Matt Arcar rounding out your top 16.
Row number 9, the 62 truck of Nicholas Sneed will be starting 17th, and the number 22 of David Westergreen will be alongside of him in 18th.
We'll look to row number 10 and the 20th starting spot, or 19th and 20th. Sam Brochu in the number 10 machine will line up, from that spot with Steven Schumann in the number 24. We'll be starting from 20th. We'll look at the rest of the grid. And now it is all about setting ourselves up for this green flag. And it's going to be a lot of fun now as everybody's now lined up behind the iRacing official pace car.
Yeah, they're getting ready. We'll be getting ready to go to green here in just about a half a lap here. And again, River Hayes on the pole position. You know, we've seen him up front quite a bit at Daytona. He'll be looking to carry that momentum and stay up front and at least try to get a heat win that he couldn't quite get in the heat number 1 last week. I'm sure he's going to be hungry. But a guy alongside of him is Matthew Weeks, who in the Elite Racing League, another league he runs, he did win the Daytona 500, so congratulations to him on that. And he'll be looking to carry that momentum along as well and trying to win here tonight. But as we get ready to go green, pace car will be ducking off. And here we go. River Hayes leads them to the green flag and gets a pretty good jump as we head down into turn number 1. Leininger giving him a good push past Matthew Weeks, heading down to turn number 1, and right alongside with him is also Levi Zielinski. We looked like we had a little bit of issue. Was that a net code or was that something? There's smoke somewhere coming from somewhere. Oh, gets a little loose there, coming out of the corner. We got a lot of action, 3 wide. As you see Zielinski and Weeks side by side. Coming on at turn 4, but River Hayes will lead lap number 1. As you see him takes the lap number one there. And again, Leininger right behind him, but there's that pack behind him there. Yeah, back to Weeks and Zielinski. Zielinski looks like he got a little loose out of turn 2, saves it, and they keep on rolling. But man, oh man, this is the kind of the excitement, Kenneth, that we can see here at your home track at Homestead Speedway here.
And so far, you're watching this battle from about third on back with Zielinski leading the way, but at the charge of Matthew Weeks on the outside, he's getting the push from the 52 with Gabriel Edwards. So, and we saw out of turn 3 and 4, if you watch that orange and black truck, he was rocking all the way to the outside line. You could still see him using that higher groove up to the top and getting those runs. And remember, 33 laps, so it's not too long of a trip down to the checkered flag in heat number 1, but here's the battle for the lead. Damian Leininger to the inside.
And Leininger coming on the inside, trying to get that run out of the corner, but I think River Hayes might have the momentum coming on the outside as they come to lap number 4. Who's going to lead it at the line? Looked like Hayes, I'm not sure. That was close. Yeah, Hayes had it just by a little bit. But Leininger not giving up on that inside, and Zielinski and Weeks continue to battle behind him, but who just almost like they're taking the grid here. They're still just side by side for the first couple rows here. But River Hayes looks like he's getting that high side momentum, and that's working out for him. As you see here, I mean, you get that better run on the inside. Oh, and Leininger gets loose, gets into Hayes, Zielinski around. Oh, man. And I believe that was the 52 truck that we were just talking about. He got on the end of pit road of Gabriel Edwards. Hopefully it's not too heavy damage for him, but it did not look good. Levi Zielinski, again, he took a long break out of iRacing, getting back tonight. He was looking to have a good night. And I don't know if that was a net code issue there. It just looked like Leininger might have just broke loose a little bit. Oh, yep, maybe Zielinski got into Leininger. Leininger gets up into Hayes and just causes the chain reaction. And unfortunate, as we had such a good battle going up front, Kenneth. But as sometimes those good battles happen, they can end up in a disaster real quick.
And you see there, the 97 was just trying to make that pinch to the outside and maybe try to get some of that extra momentum. But you can see just a little bit up front where the 97 tries to make that move. And from the aerial shot, I think it's a better look here where the Scott's Ford F-150 just gets barely into the quarter panel. The 12 sends him right into the race leader. And then everybody else starts to sack in. You see Westergreen hard on the brakes trying to get by. There's the 97. You saw Gabriel Edwards had a wild ride to the pit road attenuator. And that is a hard lick for some of the strong ones early on tonight.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate. That was some good driving there by Westergreen to get through that wreck. And it almost looked like, too, like from when we were watching it live, I was kind of keeping a close eye between the 11 and 97. It looked like they were going to come together. But as you said, Zielinski trying to pinch down Leininger and just kind of cause that chain reaction. But that'll give the lead here to Steven Schumann. And yeah, for kind of inherited out a couple spots here. I can't remember where quite he started. And I want to see here. Let's see. I can't quite see where he
started back in 20th.
20th. So yeah, there we go. I was trying to look that up, but yeah, already all the way up to the lead. So very good start for him. And behind him, the number 15 truck of I think that's Tanner Brooks, but that's I think the number 8 on the program, I do believe. As you see some of the cars getting their damage repaired on pit road. Yeah, River Hayes, that might be a truck that I don't know how competitive he's going to be. A lot of these guys, they might have engine damage. Some of those guys look like they hit pretty hard there, Kenneth.
Yeah, they've got a lot of damage, and really early on, that is not what you want to see at all, where you have an issue like that so early where the tires are still so fresh right under you, and then having that incident sets you back so much. However, though, Michael, it's not necessarily game over. I mean, you still have that second heat. Let's say if you're not able to pick it back up here, you can try to muster the best finish you can. Remember, you're not inverted if you're outside of the top 9. So if you finish where you are, or you try to get a better finish out of this one so far in this first 33 lap stint, and if you still finish outside of the top 9, it doesn't matter. You won't be inverted. You'll stay where you are, and then you can try to build on that with a new truck and a freshly painted race car when you get back out for the second stint for 34 laps. So at least not all hope is lost, but for this first segment where a lot of points could be on the line here, it's pretty much detrimental and is a dent nonetheless.
Yeah, and you know, that's one positive thing I think that we have with these two heats. We've seen Shane D. Manitoba do it last week. He had that rough, he got that damage in heat number 1. He was kind of out of it. His truck was dang near totaled. He came back and won the second heat, so you never know. You know, can't hang your head down too much, but it might be just a long rest of the race here. You have about 25 laps to go or so, and you just got to wait for heat number 2 and hopefully get back at it and rebound and get that good finish in heat number 2 as we get ready to go back green. So it's going to be interesting to see the new players up front. How are they going to hold up? I believe, if I'm looking correctly, the top 5, actually 4, I believe, take that back. Top 4 cars of Schumann, Brooks, Monticelli, and Richardson stayed out on the racetrack to get the track position. So the first car that did pit is going to be the in 5th spot, the number 42 truck of Vincent Isabella. So we'll see how much in these few laps that we've ran green are these tires going to wear out, but we'll find out in a little bit as the pace car is going to get ready to tuck off onto pit road, and Schumann is going to lead them to the green. And here we go. As Schumann, right off the grid. Looks like Weeks was involved off and just melee behind him. Yeah, it looked huge wreck, and Carpenter's involved. The 79 truck of Polymus involved, just half the field. That was, look, I don't know if someone missed a shift, someone, I don't know if checked up. It's just kind of accordion effect, and a lot of the field involved in this one, not even getting to I don't know if they even got to the stripe. And unfortunately, some of these guys' nights could be damaged here. Is it 07? Yeah, it looked like he missed a gear or something. Weeks got in the back of him. Campbell got a little bit involved. And I think, yeah, here you see the 07 hit the wall. We've seen the 30 truck. That 38 took a hard hit. Carpenter, Westergreen, he did that masterful job to miss last wreck. He's got a little bit of front end damage here as well. So there's going to be a lot of trucks on pit road with damage. So, you know, kind of maybe I was questioning those guys that stayed out on tires. They might be one of the very few clean trucks left after this wreck. A lot of guys like Barney, he took quite a hard hit there. He might have some damage. But there might be some of these guys that got hit. I think even I've seen Gerald Campbell in the 6 truck. he got in the back of somebody. I don't think his damage is going to be too serious. Weeks, yeah, he might not contend for a win, but he still might be all right and get himself a solid finish. But yeah, a lot of damaged trucks on this one. Let's see, a lot of cars on pit road.
Yeah, I'm not sure where the 07 was faltering on that restart because he didn't see him go quite compared to everybody else when we went green. So it was definitely interesting seeing how he fared up because he was down on the outside a couple rows back, and it seemed as though he wasn't really on the gas as good as everybody else. And then all of a sudden you see Weeks gets into the back end, sends him straight into the outside wall, and then obviously darting back onto the track and seeing everybody else try to scramble their way out, and most of them not too lucky. Obviously looking at the damage from the 07 machine, looked at the damage from guys like David Westergreen, who had a piece of the shot, or Kevin White Jr., who stuck down pit road with significant damage to his Toyota Tundra. So it is a lot of drivers taken out, and at least with some sort of damage as the leader hits pit road.
I think we even saw, I see even Vincent Isabella getting the damage. Our points leader, the 32 truck of, I believe that's or Josh Duke. There we go. Yeah, he got some damage. He's on pit road right now. So yeah, tough break for a lot of these guys. And Monticelli staying out. He started in the back of the pack, dead last, and he's now your race leader. So he got to stay ahead of the trouble, and he's still going. It's shaping up to be a wild one. Yeah, it's hard to say kind of what exactly happened to cause that caution, Kenneth. But I don't know if it looked like maybe a wheel spin or maybe a miss shift, but. Regardless, I'm sure no matter what he might say over the radio, what led to that caution, I'm sure there's a lot of angry drivers after that, especially when you're not even up to full speed and now you might have a damaged race truck.
That's a lot of unexpectedness too. I don't think we were looking for this kind of a start where we see the leaders get into contact early and then seeing this mishap on the restart. And now we saw for what looks like an original gridlock first row to now a completely different look with Monticelli and Tate Lytle now going to be bringing us back to the green flag. So I was not expecting this at all. I think not the cleanest start we've seen so far tonight, but I think for a lot of drivers, it is just about trying to fix that damage, try to get the best you can, and now just trying to hold on to position. Maybe even more chaos happens where they can escape and they can gain the positions all the way back. We'll just have to see as we get the 1 to green signal.
Yeah, the field will double up here. You know, this is going to be, Monticelli, from kind of what I understand, a little bit newer to the iRacing world. So this is good experience to get him up front and kind of know how it feels like. Sometimes, it's a lot more hectic to be up front than just kind of riding around maybe mid-pack or to the back. So this is good for him to get good experience and to improve his racecraft. Tate Lytle, I'll be looking out for him. He's usually pretty fast in anything he races. And Chris W. Jordan, another guy that's kind of inherited a pretty good spot after all the chaos here so far tonight. And Nicholas Sneed, haven't said too much about him. Going to be restarting in the 4th spot. And the leader going to the last green flag was Schumann, and he is in 6th spot. So look out for him. And now that he went down pit road and got some fresh rubber, but we'll be getting going back to green in this league is all about fun. I believe 100, and as the pace car dives down, and Monticelli takes the green flag, but a good restart here by Tate Lytle, and without any drafting help, powers on the outside and gets by Monticelli, and he'll take the lead going into turn number 1. And just a power move by Lytle as he will take the top spot. And Monticelli will dive or tuck into the 2nd spot. And it looks like Harrison Talion is going to try to make a move for that 3rd spot under Chris Jordan. See a little bit of that damage on the Chris Jordan truck. So obviously he might have got a little bit of part of that last caution under the restart. As they kind of try to file in line, maybe take a little bit of a breath after the chaos that was the past few laps here. Maybe it's time to settle in and kind of ride for a little bit and strategize and kind of find your spot where you kind of want to run and maybe you can attack and try to get into good finishing position and maybe into that top 9 so you can get inverted.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of drivers trying to find themselves in their places right now. The 45 of Matt Arcara being one of them. Sam Brochu, who just got by Tanner Brooks in this little group of cars. They were almost 3 wide for a second coming out of turn 2, but it seems as though they have found themselves single file. Remember, the number 23 of Harrison Tylon and his DoorDash Toyota, or Chevrolet Silverado rather, we talked about him last week at Daytona where he was so close to that race victory in one of the ending duels near the closing stages of the race. He was one of the stronger cars, and right now posing a good stretch into 4th position. But right now we may see a battle for second heating up, Mike, as Chris Jordan looks under Monticelli for the 2nd spot.
Yeah, Jordan's trying to make that move on the inside, but I think Monticelli's going to get that run on the outside in the meantime. But I think we're going to see Jordan try to dive hard, trying to get by Monticelli, and it looks like he might do it. We might see a little bit of a slide job going on here, and yes, we will, and Jordan will take over the 2nd spot. Monticelli will fall back into the 3rd spot, and I just got to say that Harrison Talion there, too, he's kind of playing tricks as we see is it Matt Arcara and the 09 of Marbello battling for the 10th spot. But Talion, I just want to say, I think he's playing tricks on us with that 23 truck. It's a Chevy Silverado, but you're thinking it's going to be a Toyota. So I kind of get where that can come from. It's a little tricky.
Yeah, I mean, even with Bubba Wallace's entrance into 2311 Racing, I mean, you'd expect to see the DoorDash colors and that 23 font on a Toyota, rather, obviously, since it's in a Camry in the Cup Series. But nonetheless, even with the Silverado colors, still looks a bright, sharp race car. Very simple scheme, no necessary designs, but it's straight and simple. It's just DoorDash and the 23, bright red and the dark black to contrast, as right now he is on the move to the outside of the 93, as the 93 has slowly fallen back within the past couple laps. It's allowed Jordan and Lytle to run away from the rest of this field, as there's the battle for 2nd, or 3rd rather, continuing.
Yeah, as it looks like Talion is going to get by Monticelli, trying to get that run on the outside. But I do got to say again, good experience for Monticelli to be in this top 5, hanging on for as long as he can. It looks like he's getting a couple cars might go by. Snead's going to get a good run on the outside of him, and as he's going to try to take over the 4th spot, and does. And then we look at the, again, that 15 truck, that is the 8, right? Am I?
Yes,
the 15,
it is.
Okay, yes.
It is a custom number, so it's shown as the Michael Watcher Clip Boyer 15 with the 5 energy colors. But indeed, according to the session, he is listed as the number 8, so that's where he stands.
Okay, number 15 on track, number 8 in the program. I gotta make sure I jot this down. All right, as you see now, Schumann trying to get by, getting into the top 5, as Monticelli is just trying to hang on as best he can to stay maybe in that top 9, so he maybe get back up front with about 12 laps to go. And you see Schumann coming out of turn 2, and you see one truck coming off of pit road. That might have been one of the cars that were involved in the previous caution, is Tate Lytle. He's got about a 1.6 second lead over Chris Jordan. And so far, pretty smooth sailing for Tate Lytle. And I think one thing we got to mention, I don't know if we quite figured out the math, but I think from when we had this restart, there might be a chance for the caution clock, the 10-minute caution clock. I think we're going to be pretty close before this end of the stage. Well, as we get a caution anyway. Just that maybe I jinxed it. I believe someone might have had an issue there. Oh, you see Vincent Isabella sideways on the racetrack. And the 42 truck. So not quite sure what happened there. Again, having that damage off of the restart, the last restart. So we'll see what happened to Vincent Isabella. Kind of another rough go of it. And it looks like that's the battle between him and the 10 truck of Brochu. And a little bit, maybe a little net code, little contact, and sending Vincent around. So kind of look maybe at an overhead view to get a better look at it. As you see the 10 truck getting that run going into turn number 1. And that looks like a little contact. And Vincent trying to hang on, couldn't do it, and goes around. And luckily everyone else avoids him. And everyone will look like be not too much worse the wear, but I'm sure, again, the race being called as you see the leaders going down pit road. The race is called. This league is all about fun, but I'm sure there's still probably a little bit of temper going on when you kind of get turned like that.
Well, Mike, I think the fun is now where we're going to be set up on this next restart, because we're looking already under 10 laps to go in this first stint out of 33 laps. I mean, you're looking over at the top left of your screen in the ticker, lap number 24. So we are still approaching that checkered flag for that first little stint here, Michael. So now everybody's going to be on fresh tires. There's Tate Lytle out of pit road in the battle off of there as well. But it is going to be interesting here. A 10-lap dash to the finish.
And heat number 1 winner last week at Daytona, Gerald Campbell, I think he might have did a little strategy there, taking 2 tires. He came in the pits, I believe, kind of the tail end of that top 10. He's going to come out of the pits in second. So, yeah, he's looking to have a little fun and try to throw his hat in the ring and try to take his second heat number 1 win so far in the OSCA series. As you see, Italian in 4th, coming out in 4th. Chris Jordan came out in 3rd, Snead in 5th, Schumann in 6th, and Monticelli in 7th. Barbello in 8th, and in 9th is so far is Matt Arcara. So that's kind of the top where the top 9 would be if the heat ended right now. And yeah, I think we're gonna be shaping up for a pretty strong finish. I'm really curious to see. This could be a very good test for Gerald Campbell, or maybe even some of the other competitors to kind of take note. They're going to be watching that 6 truck. And there's also a little damage that could play into effect here as well, but they're going to see how good or bad is it going to be to take 2 tires on a pit stop.
I think the good news here is that the 6 of Campbell, remember, he was the winner in the first stint, the 34 laps at Daytona last week. So he had those points to carry with him, and he didn't have too bad of a finishing position, I don't believe, in that second stint over in the same race last week. So if you're Gerald Campbell and you're the rest of this field looking at Gerald Campbell, you don't want to see this happening, because all of a sudden he's starting to build these points where Josh Duke is losing it, because Josh Duke right now is sitting 27th, 19 laps down with no hope in sight, at least maybe to get back on the racetrack. So now Campbell might be looking at a possible points advantage going out of this race, especially with this first stint. If he's able to nail a strategy, land in the top 9, these are going to be a lot of good points going to that 6th camp.
Yeah, and maybe even playing a little bit with house money here. I'm thinking Gerald Campbell might think, he was running, if I remember correctly, right around the 6th, 7th position. So he's figuring, if I fall back to around there on these 2 tires with, when we go back to green, it'll be on lap number 27, so about 6 laps to go. So if he can hold on for that long and even come up with 5th, he's kind of winning to where he would have came on pit road if he would have took 4 tires. So I think the strategy is a good one for Gerald Campbell, and we'll see how it pays off. And I'm sure he's going to still dig and try to get by Tate Lytle for that win here in heat number 1. As the pace car's lights are off, they double up, and again, as they double up, the top 5 here are going to be Lytle, Campbell, Jordan, Talion, and Snead as they'll come to the green flag on lap 27 of 33. And Tate Lytle, I know he's looking to get that win again. Like you said, I think no matter what, Campbell's going to be looking in a pretty good spot points wise for this heat. And try to gain on Duke, so it's gonna be a fun one to watch here. And I'm sure you got Jordan and Talion are gonna try to play spoilers here as well, as the pace car will dive off, and Tate Lytle will lead him to the green flag. But a good jump again on that outside by Gerald Campbell, hanging side by side as they go into turn number 1. Double file, but it looks like the 56 truck of Lytle's going to get a good run coming out of 2, and now Chris Jordan's going to try to attack on Gerald Campbell coming out of 2, and whoa, here we got Talion pushing Campbell down the backstretch, getting him back up into that 2nd spot, trying to look low at Lytle, but doesn't quite have the track position, and we got a side-by-side battle between Talion and Jordan coming out of 4. And we go to lap 28 as Tate Lytle Oh, man, what a push. What a drive here by the 6 truck, trying to get on the inside of the 56. Campbell trying to get that run, nothing quite doing, but Kenneth, I am just shocked by how well that strategy's paying off for him so far, but it does look like Talian's going to get on the inside and go into the 2nd spot and pushing Campbell back to 3rd, but still paying off pretty well.
No one here might be the crossover by the 6 as the 4 behind them got a little bit loose. You saw the 23 give the push over to the 6 to try to get him underneath the race leader, but that didn't seem to work. 5 laps to go at the line. They're 3 wide behind them. Marabello in it with Steven Schumann in the 4. Chris Jordan, they're working for position, but right now, Lytle might be under pressure from the 23.
23, he's lurking. He's trying to catch up, but he might need a little bit of help as we still have that battle going back from 4th on back. Chris Jordan trying to check away from Marabello and Schumann. And again, here comes Brochu in the number 10 truck trying to make his way, make some noise here in the final couple laps here. We got 4 laps to go. And it looks like right now the lead might be stabilizing a little bit, about a half a second between Lytle and Talion as we get down here, coming out of turn 2. But again, going to the back of the pack, Campbell still trying to hang on with those 2 tires, holds off in the 3rd. The 62 truck of Sneed trying to get on the inside of Weeks. And they're going to battle, but it looks like Weeks is going to get the run coming out of the outside. And he's going to take that position. And that's for the 8th spot. And right now in that transfer, or the invert spot in 9th is Sneed, and he'd be starting up front in your next heat if things stand. But still a lot of racing as we have about 2.5 laps to go here as Tate Lytle pulling away ever so slightly. Now leading about 0.6 of a second to Talion. So I think as of right now, as we're coming to 2 to go, Kenneth, I think this is going to be Tate Lytle's race to lose here, to win.
Yeah, and ever since the incident zone, that early stage of the race, says the 56 grabs 2 laps ago from Homestead-Miami in this first stint of the OSCA race. It's all about fun 100, and so far, ever since, he's been the leader and the dominator, and nobody's been able to really put that challenge. You saw it on the fresh tires on that restart. Some guys were able to get that run, but when they got to the inside, it was no match for that 56 Toyota Tundra. He's going to work off turn 4 to take the white flag.
Yeah, and here comes Lytle out of turn number 4, looking to take the white flag. 1 more lap to go in the OSCA. This league is all about fun 100. Lytle's flexing those muscles, still pulling away from Talion as they're in the middle of turn 1 and 2. And he's got about a second lead. He can pretty much just take it for a Sunday afternoon drive. Looking back right around that transfer spot there for a second. Sneed still doesn't hold it as Tate Lytle's coming into 3. Coming out of 4 here, it looks like he's going to win heat number 1 in the OSCA. This league's all about fun 100. Good job for him. Talion looks like he'll come home in 2nd. Chris Jordan in 3rd. And Gerald Campbell taking a two-tire strategy, paying off, finishing in 4th. And Marabello finishing in 5th. Brochu 6th. Sherman 7th. Weeks in 8th. And Sneed, who will now be starting on the pole here for heat number 2 as we take a 5-minute break. He'll finish 9th, and again he'll be starting up front. So yeah, some pretty wild racing here. It kind of almost reminded me there for a little bit, kind of that Daytona-esque for how wild and crazy it got for position. But at the end of the heat, Tate Lytle just couldn't be matched.
Of course, that was a very good race for Tate Lytle. I mean, coming out of at least surviving those incidents in the early stage, it was pertinent for him to stay out front, and easily you could tell that once he was able to get the lead, he was able to slingshot away from the rest of the guys behind them. And now it's going to be more interesting because Lytle's going to be mired back in 9th. However, he did start a little bit further back in the field, so it's not like he can't get back up in position. However, it will still be somewhat of a challenge as now the track will start to change. It's not going to be just full daylight. We're going to be under the sunset here in just a little bit.
Yeah, and I think what we're going to do here as well, as the sun's going to be setting here, as you say, we're going to bring Tate Lytle in here. I'm just going to kind of pull him in here, maybe a little unexpectedly. But our winner of heat number 1, Tate Lytle, you got a copy?
I do. Go ahead.
All right, Tate, congratulations on your heat win. You kind of didn't. I don't believe you started up front here. Now I can't remember where you exactly started, but once you got up front, I believe you started ninth. But once you got up front, it looked like you couldn't be beat. How'd the truck feel out there for you here tonight?
I was just telling those guys in there, it was like the most stable thing I've driven in a while on iRacing. So gonna be starting ninth again, I think, in the second race. So hopefully we can have the same result.
Yeah, gotta try to pull the ninth, the first sweep here. As far as what you're expecting, hopefully for a lot of these guys, there was a lot of chaos on the start. What'd you do to kind of stay out of that mess? I believe you stayed ahead of a couple of them, but when I believe it was Zelensky Weeks kind of getting that wreck, did you have kind of a nail-biting kind of moment trying to get through that?
Yeah, I had flashbacks to my week at Daytona, and I just thought for sure one of them was going to come right up the track into me, and none of them did. So we were able to get by that one and didn't look back.
All right, sounds good. Do you have anything for Tate, Kenneth?
Well, Tate, certainly it took a little bit of that chaos, and then once you got by it, you had that long green flag run where you were pretty much all by yourself, and maybe a little bit of pressure on the opening stint of the restart, but ever since, you were kind of able to walk away with that. And going into the second race, I know that you're going to be starting back in ninth because you finished in first in this first stint. What is going to be taken away here to bring into this second stint now that you had those first 33 laps under your belt and you had a shot of what that truck felt under the long green flag run?
We just got to try and get to the front again. We're going to be aggressive to do that, and hopefully it works out the same way, but you never know.
Yeah, well, best of luck to you here in heat number 2, and put on a hell of a show. We'll be sure to be watching you and hopefully create some excitement.
Yeah, thanks, Goody. Keep an eye on me. Hopefully we'll be going to the front.
Will do. All right, good luck, Tate. All right, that was Tate Light of heat number 1. But we've got about a minute to go, a little over a minute to go here, Kenneth. I think we might be able to take a quick break before we get going green in heat number 2.
Yeah, so we'll take a short break and we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. We'll have more coverage of the OSCA. This league's all about Fun 100 from the Magic City and the Homestead-Miami Speedway. We'll be back with more coverage in just a moment.
iRacing is a sim racing game that combines a true-to-life racing experience with an online community of virtual racers from all around the globe. iRacing offers a multitude of officially licensed cars and tracks, laser scanned with millimeter accuracy. Their car models and mechanical systems are based on real-world physics, engineered in cooperation with manufacturers and race teams. Their skill license system ranges from rookie to pro, ensuring members are always pitted against those with similar skill sets. Members are able to sign up for a weekly race series, compete in time trials, host a private race with friends, and participate in racing leagues created and run by the community. With over 170,000 members, iRacing works in partnership with renowned motorsports organizations like NASCAR to deliver virtual races based on the real-life NASCAR Cup Series, as well as many other series on the NASCAR ladder. iRacing also features team racing, providing a variety of options for members to create and manage their own teams. Race with friends or real-world teammates in full-length endurance events like the 24 Hours of Daytona, Spa 24, or the Bathurst 12 Hour. Additional partners include IMSA, World of Outlaws, Supercars, and IndyCar, allowing members to race in their very own Indianapolis 500, Bathurst 1000, Chili Bowl, and many more iconic events. This is iRacing, delivering the most authentic racing experience short of getting into a real race car. Sign up today at iRacing.com.
All right, and a welcome back here to KBRN and the OSCA. This league is all about fun 100 here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. As you see, the cars are rolling off here for heat number 2. And as we said earlier, Sneed is going to be starting on the pole here for heat number 2, and alongside him will be Weeks. And kind of give a quick rundown of the top 10. How they'll be starting is Schumann 3rd, Brochu in 4th, Marbello in 5th, Gerald Campbell is going to be in 6th, Chris Jordan in 7th, Talion is going to be in 8th, our heat number 1 winner Tate Lytle is going to be 9th, and Monticelli is going to be starting in the 10th spot. So here we're going to see if, as Tate Lytle, as he said, he's going to be aggressive, trying to go from that 9th spot again to try to take the lead. We've seen Weeks show some muscle early on before getting that damage, so we'll see what he has. And can Nicholas Sneed take advantage of that track position starting on the pole? We'll find out as the pace car is getting ready to tuck on to pit road. And Nicholas Sneed leading us to the green flag. And we are racing in heat number 2. And once again, it looks like that outside line is going to be getting advantage to pass about 3 restarts. As Matthew Weeks is going to try to get that run coming out of the outside. Sneed trying to hold on to that lead. Looks like he might have got a little loose, and looks like right now Weeks is going to take advantage, and we have a caution. And there's a wreck that'll come out of this one. I believe I seen one car on pit road. Oh, it might be the 07 that was involved in that wreck. We might even have, I don't know if Shane DiManitova got in that. We see some cars running the warm-up lane. That's the 26 truck. And we see the 30 truck of Joshua Sobel. It's the 26 truck, or 26 truck was Corey Shepard that was earlier. So another early incident here in heat number 2. Not even quite getting a lap in. Looks like we have a little issue on the camera. Look like Shane DiManitova might have been involved in that wreck as well. Doesn't look like there's much damage. Ooh, just a little contact with the 96 truck of Adam Tepe. Not fully going around, but just enough to cause the caution. So at least, you know, we see a little bit of trouble right away here, Kenneth, but it looks like it's not going to be too bad for all parties involved. But it's certainly going to hurt track position for the 96 truck and maybe some of the other guys that have make evasive maneuvers on that spin. As you see there once again, just ever so slightly, Shane getting a little bit of a good run. He's known as the Send It Kid. Oh, yeah, getting in the back end. Around goes Adam. Not even a full way around. I'm still kind of surprised they threw a yellow for that. If you ever miss a grid in iRacing, if you're unfamiliar with iRacing, if you miss the grid, you have to wait until the leaders take the green flag, and I believe there's still like a 30-second or so time limit to until you can really pull off pit road, so you can't use it to your advantage. And it happens from time to time. Sometimes you don't know how quick the next session or whatever is going to start. So luckily for Shepard, that he was able to get off a pit road, and you know he's technically barely on the lead lap, but once we get the 1 to go, he should get the wave around and maintain his spot on the lead lap and be able to battle for position once he goes around. So that ended up working pretty well for him. I don't know if that was a strategy move or sometimes that could be a very incidental thing knowing I've been there before. It can be embarrassing if you don't plan on doing it, but either way for him, very good move, or very lucky that he'll be able to move right to the back of the pack and keep on battling there as well. And Matthew Weeks still holding on strong as we kind of look through the field here. And there you see Jordan Lytle, and Lytle currently falling back one spot to 10th, so kind of not getting that aggressive start that he said. Vincent Isabella, I believe he started back in 15th. He's already moved up to the 8th spot, so he's doing a hard charger in about the lap and a half that we ran in Green Flag Racing so far. So maybe keep an eye out on Isabella. He had that damage that kind of hampered his heat number 1, so he's going to look to have a rebound race here as the field is doubling up, as we're going to have 1 to go to green here. And again, Weeks, Need, Brochu starting in your top 3. And again, behind him is going to be Schumann, Marbello, Campbell, Callion, Isabella, and Tate Lytle is going to be in the 9th spot, or Jordan's going to be in the 9th spot, sorry, and Lytle in 10th. And we're going down into turn number 3. 1 more lap to go. Again, you're watching the OSCA series. This league's all about Fun 100 here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. And if you're just joining us, because if you might have been watching the dual races at Daytona, it's currently under rain delay. No rain in threat here, as Matthew Weeks is going to lead them back to the green flag. And here we get contact. Westergreen getting sideways. And I don't know if he spun his tires, fanned out the field. Looks like everyone's going to get going there. I don't think truck's got too damaged, but Westergreen a little bit hairy on the restart. But we see battle for the lead as Brochu is going to be battling on the outside with Matthew Weeks. Brochu's going to get a very good push from the 09 of Marbello on the outside. It looks like they're going to be able to take advantage of that, as Brochu in the 10 truck's going to be taking the lead. But Matthew Weeks is like, I think I might want that lead yet. But as they come to the line, I think Weeks might have led that lap. I think they're going to give it to Brochu. But that was close. That's about as close as you could get coming to the line. And Matthew Weeks, power move on the inside, retakes the lead. And he'll be going down in turn number 3, trying to hold off those two, the 10 truck and the 09, as the 09 now, Marbello, is trying to take that second spot away from Brochu as they're battling out at turn number 4.
And you saw there the 10 of Brochu was trying to look to the high side. Remember what I talked about at the top of the show, using that smoother exit off of the corners here at Homestead and the progressive banking to advantage. There's one driver around in the middle of the pack. There's Arcara getting out, but a huge wreck behind them. Westergreen involved.
Westergreen.
I think Josh Duke might have had a piece of it. He's sliding down to the grass. The 71 of Carpenter, and it's Steven Schumann. I saw him spinning around first. So
I think that was that yellow truck of Schumann that we first saw on the screen as he was spinning. And again, and Josh Duke, we had that great run last week at Daytona, finishing in the top 3 in both those races, 2nd and 3rd, just having a rough night here tonight. And we'll see what happened to bring out this latest caution. It looks like it was 3 wide between. That might have been a little bit of net code that started that between Arcara and Schumann, and then contact and just a chain reaction. It looked like Westergreen had nowhere to go, locked the brakes up a little bit. It looked like maybe a little crossover move is between Schumann and Arcara. You see right there, that might have been a little contact. And luckily for Arcara, as he's going through the grass here, able to get back on the racing surface, no one hits him, but behind him, that's where he saw the chaos of Duke, Westergreen. Here we'll take a ride with the 22, see how he tried to get through it. You see, this is where the chaos starts, and he's going high, and locked him up a little bit and just getting contact, and that looks like heavy damage for the 22 truck. And again, there's Carpenter getting into maybe the back of the 22 there as well. He'll have severe damage, and his night's probably over.
And you see everybody down pit road. So the guys like Matthew Weeks, Sam Brochu, Riley Marabello, it seems as though that first 10-lap stint was enough for them to go down pit road, get some fresh rubber, get some fuel along the top off the way. I don't think, Mike, that we've seen probably the fuel strategy that we saw over at Daytona, a much larger track and the same amount of laps, obviously put some drivers at risk of running out of fuel. As here's the battle off pit road. Weeks had the advantage. Marabello to second. Look who slept into third. That was Vincent Isabella in the Toyota Tundra there, but
yeah, making a hard charge, but we have a few trucks staying out here as well. Gerald Campbell continuing to use that strategy. Yeah, a lot more strategy with maybe they can make it on fuel, but you might want tires as well. You know, he'll take over the lead. Monticelli, we've seen him stay out in the last stint and get a solid finish. Looks like there might be a little bit of damage on the front end of that truck. Hopefully it won't hurt him too bad. But he'll look to try to have the same success that he had in heat number 1. And how about Corey Shepard? Just talking about him in the last caution, you know, starting on the grid, barely able to stay in the lead lap. He stays out. Probably didn't really get to use the tires all that harshly, so his rubber might be fairly decent. And you know, going from the tail end of the pack to now running third, so a little bit of strategy game. I think here we're going to be seeing more of a tire strategy than a fuel strategy as we get down to about 1 to go. But I'd have to say, I mean, we still might be in that kind of area where we'll see at least one more caution for sure with that caution clock.
Yeah, we might see a caution. I mean, we really haven't seen too much of a long green flag run to put us under that caution clock. Yeah, almost pretty much every yellow that we've seen tonight has been a result of a crash, a spin, or what have you. Maybe some miscommunications between some of the drivers. That's the reason why we've seen a lot of the yellow flags here tonight. But I mean, we haven't used that caution clock. Maybe we could see it, but there's only about 23 laps till we get to that point. So we'd pretty much have to go green that entire stint in order to probably find ourselves within the caution clock. But so far, Campbell, Monticelli, Weeks, Shefford, all the guys who either pitted or stayed out are going to lead us back to the green flag.
Yes, we'll be going back green here in the OSCA. This league's all about fun 100 here at Homestead-Miami Speedway as the Ford Mustang pace car is about to dive off of pit road. Gerald Campbell will lead them back to the green flag, and we are racing. As again, we see a lot of fanning out on the restart here. Weeks is trying to push Monticelli down the straightaway. He's going to try to make a move for that second spot. And these restarts have been proven. They've been pretty chaotic here so far, but it looks like everyone's going to get through. But we have 3 wide behind them. 3 wide throughout almost the whole pack. Monticelli looks like he's into the wall. He's going to lose a bunch of track position as we still got a battle here for second spot. So we got Matthew Weeks and Vincent Isabella. Right, the 2 Toyotas battling it out, but Marbello also trying to throw his Toyota hat in the ring. And Talion is also battling there as well. But, oh, Tate Lytle, heat number 1 winner. Oh, up and over. I think another truck of Leininger up and over as well. So 2 cars flipping. And you know, we heard Tate Lytle wanted to be aggressive on this last, in the second heat, try to get back up front. I don't know if that was the case there. We see him and River Hayes battling it out, trying to throw blocks. The blocks thrown everywhere. Leininger trying to throw a block as well. And just a pack of cars, and it looks like you got a 3 wide. Might not be the best thing. Oh, Lytle gets a little loose into Leininger. Both of them flipping over. And you know, Monticelli there, you know, we've seen him get in the wall just a little bit before. Looks like he kind of went under Leininger there after he flipped over. And we'll take a ride here with Tate Lytle on what his view looked like. And getting sideways, spinning, up and over again, and back on his wheels. And Leininger, again, he flipped over as well. So just a very vicious wreck from something that didn't look like it might be too bad, but I think the 12 truck and 56, both of Leininger and Lytle, are probably going to be out for the night. And you see even going in the previous corner here, Lytle getting a little loose out of the corner, so you know these guys were on it. These guys are battling. You've seen 3 wide. Monticelli kind of getting in the wall, and that kind of put him in that position to be involved in this wreck. As you see, it happens right in front of that 93 truck. And parting of the season, that'd be an interesting view if we can get the in-car view of that 90. Ooh, that was crazy there. 12 car bouncing around. I wonder what the in-car view of the 93, what he saw out of his front windshield. You see Lytle getting into it.
Oh.
2 cars flipping. Oh, man.
You see him, you hear him go down a gear there, and it all started with Monticelli, who had gotten into the outside wall, and then he pretty much checked up, stayed to the high side. Everybody was scrambling to get around him, and that is the thing that we're talking about here. Now, you said it right when we were exiting pit road on that first yellow at the start of this race. Tire strategy going to be such a big factor. When you have the difference of the drivers on the new tires versus the drivers on the old tires, it is a huge difference at places like Homestead-Miami Speedway, where the tire conservation is pretty much the main reason to stay and be fast over the course of a longer run. So that was just a case of drivers on the new tires, Tate Lotto being one of them, trying to carve through the field, trying to get there with the extra grip, but the car also can start to snap a little bit, gets very loose, so trying to make its way through the seams, trying to slide up the corner. Obviously, the truck didn't really respond to that too well, and then slid up into the 12, resulted in that big crash. But you know, that's how it is at places like Homestead. You really have to play the tire game right, and for those guys, I mean, just trying to catch up to the field, just trying to carve through every single driver, but when you have big packs like that, it can get very dicey.
Yeah, I wonder if that's something, you know, Campbell likes about these older tires. He's a truck that we have not even seen hit pit road yet, so he hasn't had that new fresh rubber, you know, maybe diciness so far in this heat, and you kind of wonder, we're maybe getting borderline if we're going to get that other 10-minute caution if we go green from here. So it's going to be very interesting if he can hold off the pack, staying out on 34 lap old tires. Because, you know, we saw Weeks trying to battle. We've seen the 09 truck battling as well. Vincent Isabella right up there as well. So we've seen those Toyotas right behind Gerald Campbell. They're giving him about all he can handle. Let's see if he can hold on as we're going to take the restart on lap 17 of 34 here in the OSCA. This league is all about fun 100. And I'm really interested, because we've seen that really good battle between Isabella and Marbello, you know, kind of on that restart and those few laps we had green there. And if those guys maybe figure out their battle, get lined up, I think they can make a pretty strong run up front, and they can maybe duke it out once they get to the leads. This is going to be a very interesting restart. We'll see if Gerald Campbell, again, can hold them off on those old tires. He'll be looking to get that good restart on the inside, but again, that outside, these have been getting pretty strong restarts as well, as we're about to find out as the pace car is about to dive off, and we're going to get back going to green. And there. And Gerald Campbell will lead them back to the green flag here on lap 17 of 34 in heat number 2 in This League is All About Fun 100 here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. And Gerald Campbell looks like he's got a pretty good start. Isabella giving him a pretty good push going down into turn number 1. He's going to clear Matthew Weeks. Isabella's trying to do a slide job on Weeks. Looks like he'll take that second spot, as he's got his eyes on the 6 truck of Gerald Campbell, and he's going to make that move going into 3. And Weeks is going to push him right past Gerald Campbell. Vincent Isabella is going to be your leader, but a crossover move by Campbell. He's going to look on the inside as they're coming to the line, and Isabella so far so good holding him off, but Campbell not giving up yet as they're side by side going into turn number 1, and Campbell, your leader once again. Looked like Isabella tried pinching down Jared Campbell, and it was successful as he takes that lead, as he's going to have about a 0.3 of a second lead over Gerald Campbell. We got a battle for 3rd spot as Matthew Weeks and Marbello battling for that 3rd spot, as he's trying to look on the inside. You see Levi Zielinski trying to make that charge up to the front as well, and oh, Marbello pinching Levi down the track. Levi able to hold on to the truck, and he's gonna have to tuck back into the 5th spot, but he's gonna get a good push by Talion going to turn number 1. Oh, it looked like he might have been getting a little loose there, as we got about 3 wide behind him. that's a battle for right around the 6th spot between Jordan Hayes and Zielinski. That's going to straighten out, but here comes Matthew Weeks on the inside of Gerald Campbell going down into turn number 3. Looks like he's going to take the spot, but we've seen Campbell do this before. He's going to try to cross him over coming out of turn 4. Yeah, Isabella currently holding strong to about a little over a 3/10 of a second lead, so pulling away ever so slightly. And I think if you're the 6th truck of Jared Campbell, unless you're hoping for a caution, but right now it's probably all about damage control. It's trying to just hang on to whatever you can and try not to fall back. But so far able to hold off the guys behind him. Matthew Weeks trying to run down Vincent Isabella, but as of right now, you know, it might be a cat and mouse game as we kind of ride out the back end here. Isabella again started 15th, moved up 14 spots in the first, and he did it relatively quickly. That's the very impressive thing for Isabella here in this heat. But as it looks now like a pretty good run for Weeks as he's closing that gap to about 2/10 of a second. And I was just going to say, this is where, you know, maybe a cat and mouse game between the 42 and the 11. Who's saving tires? Who's charging hard? You know, I'm sure they're both trying to have a very fine line battle of how hard do you dig, because you want to have the freshest tires at the end and who can make that run coming to the checkered. But as of lap number 24 right now, Isabella holding on to the lead as they're coming out of turn number 2. It seems like we're having a little bit of a rubber band effect. Isabella might pull away by a couple, a 10th or so, and then he stretches it, or then Weeks closes it back up, gets right back up on that bumper. But as of right now, Isabella holding off, and it's, again, I think that cat and mouse game, it's going to be very interesting to see how that plays out as we see the 2 trucks of Gerald Campbell and Marbello still battling for that 3rd spot. Looks like everything's kind of standing pat right now, up with the top 4. But again, I think if you look back at the trucks of River Hayes, you know, we've seen him almost win heat number 1 last week at Daytona. He's trying to battle Levi Zielinski for that 5th spot. And here we look out the front end of Matthew Weeks. And now he's closed to under a 10th. Now he's kind of falling back. The gap is just closing and spreading just ever so slightly every lap. So you got to wonder, I got to think, do you think Weeks is maybe saving a little bit for a late charge as we're, you know, under 10 laps to go? I'm kind of wondering if he's trying to save something for final few laps to get by Isabella.
Yeah, that might be the strategy for Weeks, but you just saw on his onboard cameras, they're looking at the battle for about 7th on back. That's Shane DiMantovo looking for the spot on Pohemus in the 79, the 81 of River Hayes. But still, within Weeks, you saw him taking a much lower line in a 3 and 4 than Weeks when you looked at the onboard camera. He was pretty much all the way to the white line, whereas Isabella was a little bit higher on the racetrack. So I believe maybe Weeks is just trying to push all he can. But remember, there's still a handful of laps left in this event. It's not easy to try and push all you can and keep the tires underneath you between that sort of a longer run. So right now, that's allowing Vincent Isabella to start carrying himself away for the race lead as we have a battle there for 3rd. Here's Marabello under Campbell.
Yeah, Marabello is looking underneath Campbell as Campbell's still trying to hang on to those old tires. You know, now we're coming to 29 lap old tires as they go down into turn number 1. It looks like Marbello is going to try to take that advantage And ooh, side by side, almost making contact between the two. It looks like Marbello is gonna take that third position away from Gerald Campbell, and River Hayes is gonna try to take a look. Nothing doing so far. As again, Campbell, as he's trying to do all night long, trying to do that crossover move, going down into turn number 3. But as these guys are battling, they're catching up with Matthew Weeks. So maybe it was a case of, like you said, Matthew Weeks trying to do all he could to catch Isabella, but just didn't quite have enough mustard to catch Isabella. As we see Shane DiMantova there also trying to get under Campbell for the 5th spot now, as River Hayes already got around him as well. So so far so good looks for Isabella, leading that pack right now by about 0.7 of a second over Matthew Weeks, who's going to get that charge here by Marbello for the battle for that 2nd spot as they're coming on to turn number 4. And it looks like Marbello might get the advantage.
And the question will lie here, Mike. How long will it take for Marbello to start to creep back up to Isabella, or whether he has enough time to get to Isabella? They've got across the line for 4 laps to go, and here's River Hayes trying to make the battle for that 2nd spot as Shane DiMantova joins the fight, and this will be good for DiMantova, a pickup from the first stint and a pickup from his win at Daytona last week, so that'll help him out in the top 5, but may not be enough time for anybody to catch up to the 42. It's just going to matter within these final 3 laps, as here comes the 42 off of turn 4.
Here we come down with about 3 laps to go. Vincent Isabella's loving what he's seeing behind him. He loves to see those guys battle, but River Hayes did get a breakaway, but he's got his team ID Racing teammate Shane DiMantova going into the 3rd spot, still battling for that 3rd spot. I'm sure they're hoping to get that 1-2 finish, but hey, Isabella still got work to do. River Hayes looks like he might be closing in just a little bit on Vincent Isabella, but does he have enough time? You know what they always say, it's one thing to catch him, it's another thing to pass him, as that gap is closing ever so slightly as we come to 2 to go, as Isabella is going to take it down into turn number 1.
And now it's just all about maintaining that gap. It's starting to close in, though. It was about 0.8 of a second, and it's now down to about 0.3, so Hayes is certainly on the move right now, but the question is, does he have enough time? Does he have the rest of these laps in order to wind down that little gap between himself and Isabella and take away the race lead? We'll just have to find out. Here comes Isabella off turn 4 to take the white flag.
The white flag will be waved for Vincent Isabella. The question is, can he take the checkered flag? We know River Hayes is closing that gap. Does he have enough? He's there. He's right on the bumper. He's got to get one last good shot going down into 3 and 4. Does he have enough? Who's going to win it? Is it going to be the 42 of Vincent Isabella? Is it going to be the 81 of River Hayes as they're coming down into turn number 3? Isabella holding the white line. River Hayes driving in about as hard as he can go. Is he going to get the run coming out of the corner? As they're going to be almost side by side, Vincent Isabella is going to win heat number 2 in the OSCA. This league is all about fun 100 here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. Whew, I didn't know if River Hayes is going to make that stick on the outside. That was an awesome finish.
I mean, you gotta be wondering how the perspective was for Isabella, looking in that rearview mirror, seeing Matthew Weeks go away, but then all of a sudden seeing River Hayes just start to creep up slowly over the past couple laps. But a good job by Isabella to hold off in the final 2 laps and take the victory. An easy rebound after what happened the first time around in the first stint, and now he'll be able to celebrate it as there's Shane DiMantova and the rest of the gang.
Yeah, it looks like he's getting a lot of congratulations there. little tomfoolery here coming to the checkered flag. Everyone wanted to give Vincent Isabella a little bit of love. Again, as you've seen his ID Racing teammate Shane DiMantova finishing 3rd. I would almost have to assume if you're Vincent Isabella, as you were saying, coming out of turn 4 or going into 3, though how hard River Hayes drove into that corner, I would have been almost thinking there's no way he's going to be able to make that corner work. And I didn't think he was going to get that run coming out of the corner. And, I got to give it to River Hayes there for finishing 2nd. Basically sending it, doing all he could to make that last-ditch effort. And a solid run for him finishing 2nd. But again, once again, congratulations to Vincent Isabella getting heat win number 2 here in this league's All About Fun 100. As you see the rest of the top 10, As you see going down again, our top 3 are going to be Isabella, Hayes, and D. Manitoba. And Palamas in 4th, Marbello in 5th, Campbell 6th, Weeks falling all the way back into 7th, Zielinski in 8th, Talion is 9th, and Corey Shepard, again, as we saw him having that starting on pit road on the start, be able to rebound and finish in the 10th spot.
And then back to 11th. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say we do have some interviews, but yeah, we can go through the grid here quick.
Josh Duke will come home in 11th. He'll roll off after his decent finishes over at the World Center Racing. Adam Tepe with an early incident in this race in the second stint. He'll rebound for 12th with Chris Jordan behind him sitting in 13th. Sam Brochu in the 10 will come home to a decent finish in 14th. And Matt Arcara, that incident earlier in the race, set him back, and he ends up 15th at the line. Steven Schumann in the 24 will line up 16th with Joshua Sobel in the number 30 sitting 17th. Nicholas Sneed, who had a promising opening run, he'll land in 18th tonight with Nicholas Monticelli. Not enough to finish in the end. He'll come home 19th, and William Richardson in the 07 will round out the top 20.
Again, you look, these are the guys that kind of had a little bit of trouble here in heat number 2. 21st, David Westergreen. 22nd, Tate Lytle. We've seen him up and over and around. And then along with him in 23rd, he did the same thing. Damian Leininger finishing that 23rd spot. 24th, Tanner Brooks. 25th, David Carpenter. 26th, Gabriel Edwards. 27th, Chase Rod. Chad Third-Quist in 28th, Kevin White Jr. in 29th, and Blake Barney in 30th. And again, wild ride here. And we got some interviews of our top 3. I'm going to do this a little unconventional. I'm going to bring in River Hayes first, and then I'll bring in the third place finisher of Shane D. Manitoba, because I have an idea here. But anyway, we'll bring in River Hayes, the man who finished second, the man who made the charge. It looked like you were almost there. I didn't think you were going to make it stick there, River. And I have to give you an attaboy, because that was a hell of a run coming. You're going into 3, coming out of 4. You left it all on the line there, trying to get that victory.
Yeah, man. The first half was a disappointment. We led 4 laps and we got turned, but the second half, we started last. I knew that when we had that second caution, I wanted to come down and get 4, and I just tried to stick it out as much as I could. I know that the front runners had only had 2 tires, so I was like, all right, I'm just going to let her hang on this last lap. If I can catch up, I can catch up and set up a pass on the last corner, but unfortunately, we needed 1 more lap.
Yeah, 1 more lap indeed. I think you might have made probably would have made a pretty good run there for the finish, but yeah, how hard were you driving? Was it pretty much wide open there going into that last corner?
As a matter of fact, I was driving into 1 so hard I was actually using quite a bit of brake, but it was working, so I wasn't going to stop doing it. I could roll 3 and 4 really good compared to those guys on 2 tires, so I knew if I just stuck it up high, I might be able to drive right around them, but just ran short of time.
Yeah, but it's still a solid run. I think it's going to be a very good points day for you. And again, we see a lot of this, and then the craziness that kind of happened in, heat number 1. We've seen that kind of last week. It's usually a tale of 2 halves, it seems like, so far in the OSCA series. But again, a solid run. Hopefully that does well for you in the points standings. But is there anyone you want to shout out to for this awesome second place run here tonight?
Yeah, man, I want to thank you guys for putting on the broadcast for sure. Thank you to Vic for putting on this league, and we're going to go get them next week.
All right, sounds good. Kenneth, before we send River Hayes off, any questions for him?
Well, River, I mean, just an absolute monstrous run in that final segment, running and trying to really track down the 42 of Isabella, and you said you just needed 1 more lap to get there, and you were oh so close to get, but in terms of that final run, in terms of where you started on the restart, especially how that run started to develop, what really stood out to you about your truck as opposed to everybody else? Because I know the tires played such a big factor in how much speed you can carry through the corners. So what seemed to stand out the most to you when it came to that final run as you were running to try and catch Isabella?
Yeah, man. So we had 2 cautions earlier in the run, and I was trying to maximize positions on restarts because the restarts are crazy with this package in the trucks. It would go 4 and 5 wide on the restarts, and a lot of the guys were just sending it on the high side, and that's what I wanted to do also to gain time. And then some guys got in trouble. And I shot down on the apron just trying to avoid wrecks so I could get back up through the field. And luckily we had that long green flag run so I could start peeling them off. And unfortunately we just ran short of time and we needed one more lap.
Yeah, it was just falling one lap short, but it was still a hell of a run. And again, thank you again, River, and give them hell next week at New Hampshire.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you. And now we'll bring in our third place finisher, Shane DiMantova, and a guy who, as we bring, here we go, we've got Shane in there, and Shane, that was a pretty solid run. It kind of looked like you came out of nowhere. I mean, you were running in the top 10, but on the last few laps there, you made a pretty hard charge. How's that run feel?
I mean, it felt pretty good, obviously, but in the first race, kind of just like last week, yeah, P3 finish, definitely taken any day. I was actually just looking back at it now. Restarted 16, took 4 fresh tires, and just ran, like you said, through the whole field. So really happy about that, and I feel like maybe if we would have had 5 or so more laps, possibly get up to the lead there and battle it out with Vincent and River. But hats off to both of them for both their good runs. But I mean, good long run truck, all night long, and just wish there was more long runs.
Yeah, that first heat again, that was kind of like we've seen in any dual race. It always seems to happen. You have one chaotic one maybe a little bit more calm, and unfortunately you had a little bit of trouble in heat number 1. But it kind of seems like most of the guys that might be towards the front of the point standings might they might be in the same boat as you. So again, a good solid points night, and the number 1 and number 2. How about, the newly formed ID Racing? You get heat win number 2 last week at Daytona, and Vincent Isabella gets ID Racing win number 2 here tonight at Homestead-Miami Speedway. That's got to be pretty awesome feeling for a starter team here.
Yeah, definitely from an owner's standpoint, really happy. Obviously, trouble for Vincent and race 1, obviously very unacceptable what happened there and with him when he was leading under caution. But yeah, I mean, we're a threat in this league, and I mean, half this league is ID Racing, just about, but mostly just me and Vincent and the main core guys, just getting it done up front, like Matt and David and Adam, like good group of guys, and Chris, I can't forget about him either. But yeah, just good core group of guys there, and I mean, we get it done, as you can see in both these races so far.
Yeah, looking good so far. Kenneth, you got anything here for Shane?
Well, Shane, I mean, I'd say it was a run all the way back through the field. I mean, that first stint really was one of a struggle, but then this second one really turned around for you. And in those final laps, you were really charging on guys like Matthew Weeks. You had a shot at a bunch of the guys throughout the top 5 that you were battling with. What really changed the most, I think, that came to your benefit in this race was the track position. Did it seem to be the strategy that fell in your hands a lot more? What seemed to change between that first stint and the second one that brought you such a good race here in this second stint?
I mean, learn from the best. Obviously, you and Francisco, you guys teach me a lot here. Good little chuckle about that. But yeah, I mean, like I said, just good long run truck. I'm also like hats off, like those 4 tires. Without taking 4 tires on that stop, definitely wouldn't get that track position and that finish. So I mean, just a good strategy call on that too.
Yeah, it was a very good strategy indeed. But before we send you off here, since the tonight's race, it was called "This League is All About Fun 100." I don't know if it's going to be fun for you, Shane, but it's going to be a little fun for me. I'm going to bring in heat number 1 winner Vincent Isabella, and I'm going to have you maybe give him a couple interview questions. What do you say about that?
That sounds good with me.
All right, sounds good. So we'll bring in Vincent Isabella, heat number 2 winner, and again, This League's All About Fun 200. Vincent Isabella, here he is. How did that feel?
Oh, awesome. I thought River was going to get me at the end, honestly. He was taking about 3/10 out every lap once he got clear of those guys back there, but 2 tires paid off.
Yeah, 2 tires, didn't know if you were going to be able to hang on, and yeah, that was, again, one hell of a run, as we were kind of talking to River earlier, and he's able to make it stick and almost getting the win. But again, congratulations to you, Vincent. But as I promised just a second ago, Shane, I'm going to turn this over to you. You're interviewing Vincent.
I mean, yeah, definitely for sure. Obviously, big win here as ID Racing taking both of these final 2 segments of the first 2 races in this season. How do you feel about our team, like you and me, so far this season?
We're awesome. We have a good group of guys. We all help each other, and I mean, we were in practice all day just helping each other, and we're going to be there. We're going to be in the Final Four, whether it's both of us. I mean, we're both going to be there at least. So hopefully we can get some other guys to come on and get in the Final Four with us.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. Obviously, we got a good group of team, like you said, and I said before you got in here. Just good core group of guys, and like you said, helping each other out and getting it done out on the racetrack.
Oh yeah, all of our guys. I mean, I can't even start naming them all. I mean, there's 8 of us now, so.
Yeah, so yeah, good job getting two heat wins here so far in the OSCA series, and I guess a question for both of you here. So you basically both had 2 different strategies. You know, Shane, you took the 4 tires, and that got you all the way up into the 3rd spot. And Vincent, you took the 2-tire pit stop, and that was good enough to get you the win here tonight as well. Was that something you were discussing? Did you guys discuss that together as a team, or how did those 2 differing strategies kind of come about?
Shane, you want to go first or me?
I guess I'll go first. Thank you. I mean, we were in separate Discords actually. I was hanging out just with Vic, helping things out with him in there, in the admin portion of things, and so I kind of was just doing my own thing, making my own strategy calls all night long, and I mean, I knew out there on the racetrack I could follow my teammates and use them to help me.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. And for me, I mean, I had told them I was going to take 2 when we were pitting there because I had noticed in the first race and earlier in that race that the tires on the left sides weren't really wearing. And with that caution real quick, I figured, let me get some more track position. And it took me from 8th to 3rd. And that was ultimately what I needed to get past Matthew before turn 1 and then driving around Gerald, who I believe he stayed out on the top there in 4.
Yeah, he didn't take tires the whole race. That didn't quite pay off, and he was, I think, kind of gambling with strategy, early on in the heat number 1 as well. So it didn't quite equate, but it was good. At least it was good enough to, or at least lucky for you, good enough to get the victory there. And
yeah,
I got to ask you too, what did it look like when you seen that 81 truck coming out?
I was scared. I was well, out of 4, not so much. It was the laps leading up to that. I knew once I came out of 2, I knew that he wasn't going to be able to get there because of how hard he dove it in the 1. Kind of just, he started to push a little bit, and I just made sure I hit my marks in 3 and 4. We were celebrating in 3 and 4.
Screaming and yelling, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Kenneth, any questions for Vincent?
Well, I think you took my idea away there, Mike, about the pressure there from River Hayes on Isabella there. But Vincent, I mean, a race there to end it off, I think, in a very positive note, because you had that speed near the end to take it away, or take the lead away rather, from Gerald Campbell, then Matthew Weeks, and then get by all of those guys in order to find yourself to the front. Obviously before that little charge there, but between that second segment, how did the truck feel under these conditions? Because I know we were under straight sunlight. It was a hotter track. It was a slicker track in the first race, in the first 33 laps. But in this second stint of 34 laps, it was a little bit lower and the track was a little bit cooler. How did that feel from behind the wheel?
Well, the truck was, the first race, it was definitely tight. And then I learned in that race that I could take 2 tires. Taking the 2 tires really loosened the truck up. So it was tight in traffic behind people, aero tight. And that's just all from learning in the first race. And it paid off. I mean, I knew I could control 2 tires. They felt great. It loosened the truck up so much and let me drive off.
Yeah, and again, just enough to work there as getting heat win number 2 here tonight. And Vincent, before we send you off, anyone you want to give a shout out here too?
Yeah, all the ID guys. I'm not going to go into detail, but all those guys were backing me there. And obviously Shane, he's the one, obviously my co-owner with the team. We're putting on a show here in the first few weeks of these seasons that we have. And then Vic, obviously, Vic painted my paint scheme tonight, and just for putting on this amazing league every Thursday night. Looking forward to being in the playoffs and giving a shot at the title here.
I think ID Racing as a whole looks like so far a force to be reckoned with. Just a startup team making some noise right away. Everybody look out. ID Racing, here they come.
Yep, thank you.
Yeah, you bet. And again, that was Vincent Isabella and Shane DiMantoa, your your third place finisher and your winner of heat number 2. But as we're kind of winding things down here, Kenneth, any final thoughts of what the action we saw here tonight?
Well, I mean, we certainly saw our first bit of 1.5 mile action, which I think now that we have that out of the way, it could be that opportunity for every driver in this field, not only just the winners, not only the ones who did well, but the ones who kind of suffered here tonight. They're able to take some things away, and they're able to carry it on through the rest of the season. I think this is a very good point as we lead in to what we have on this next stretch, Mike. It's going to be interesting because there's no 1.5 miles here until you get to Kansas, but you have New Hampshire, Dover, and Martinsville. 3 straight short tracks in a row. That's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to amp the intensity, and the tensions are certainly going to boil over as we're going to find out who continues to take control of the points lead.
Yeah, as we see, at least especially these first 5 races or so. Even I guess you'd almost throw the first 10 or about 9 races. How different these tracks are. Daytona, stricter plates, super speedway racing. Tonight, it's a 1.5 mile racing, but it's not quite like the same cookie cutter as you maybe see at a Kansas or like Vegas as we see later on in the season. New Hampshire, flat track next week. That's going to be a lot different racing. Dover, Martinsville. And what I like about this schedule so far, these tracks have their own different character, and it's going to provide such different racing, and it gives some guys opportunities that you might not see up front. Who you might not see up front in the first 2 races. They can come out and shine, and look forward to have some good runs, next week at New Hampshire.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, New Hampshire, very flat track, is certainly one of the more unique venues, I'd say, on the circuit. And personally, I've never covered a broadcast at New Hampshire, so that's also going to be a first, and seeing how the racing is over on the service. But, I mean, Dover, I've seen a lot from Dover, a lot of chaos from Dover, a lot of decent and good racing, but the track is so abrasive and so tough on the cars and the drivers themselves that it really takes a toll, and only the toughest of the toughest really get out of there. And then Martinsville, I don't think anyone needs an introduction for what Martinsville really is. Chaos, madhouse, really, and a very short track, but hopefully going to see some intense racing and a lot of fun ones as we move forward to the season.
Yeah, it'll be something to certainly look forward to, and you can check out all that action right here on KBRN Radio on Tuesday nights. But until next time at New Hampshire, for Kenneth Bueno, I'm Mike Goodman. Thank you all for tuning in to the OSCA series here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. Everyone have a good night. See you next time.